All right. Welcome into the half. It's good to be back, Eric. My name, Erich Montgomery. This is Erich Campbell. How you doing today, sir?
Doing all right. Busy as usual, but busy's always good, I think.
Yep,
I
that's
don't know what
right.
I would do if I wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just get yourself in trouble, Eric. I'm sure that's what we do when we're not busy.
You would think, I don't know. I'm not much for trouble these days,
No,
but
I know.
I
I
got
know.
plenty
You
I
only
gotta
get in
do.
trouble when you're hanging out with us. So,
Almost entirely, yeah. That's kind of the only time I get into any sort of hijinks is with the two guys.
yeah,
But
yeah.
hey.
Well, speaking of the two regular guys, I
Yeah.
I could not make it last week. I was all set up to come live to you from the front seat of the car in the parking lot of the VA Medical Center in Columbia, Missouri, and 2 minutes before the half was supposed to start, I got a call that they were ready for me to come pick up my dad. So,
Hey, family first, guys. That's something I always try and tell people. It's like you can't let this stuff get too formal. Now, I'm
that's right.
I'm one to talk because I will, do quite a lot to make sure I still end up at the shows and end up doing the take up.
Sure,
My
sure.
wife has had some times where she's like, "Are you seriously gonna stop everything and do the take up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, probably."
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody
Well,
has to take those priorities and work with them. I mean,
that's right.
yeah, I mean, see, we were talking recently about time management. You were talking about that on Tubular Guys. You talked about that in OSG this last week. But part of time management is also taking the time that is, for you for your life. Because
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Ultimately, we're here because this is for our lives, not what we're living our lives to do.
Correct. Yeah, that's a really good point, Eric. And I knew I had a really good backup. I knew
Yeah,
you could handle it on your own if that happened. B,
for sure.
Terry was able to join, and so I'm glad that you guys got to do that together. He's said that he had a blast, so appreciate you initiating him into the world of the half here. So.
It's like I always tell people, I'm like, this is kind of our time. This is our lifetime, which sounds weird because we're doing this other show that's us, but there is something about the half where it's kind of like this is our time to just
Yeah,
do it,
yeah,
talk about whatever.
totally. Great to have fun. So let's check in with folks here, Eric. We've got
Yeah.
Christine. Hello.
Hi,
Thanks for being
Christine.
here. Audrey, I cannot tell what that emoji is.
Looks like a cartwheel. Somebody's
Oh, it does. There we go.
hopefully
Thank you.
joyfully cartwheeling.
Joyfully cartwheeling, Audrey.
I'm
I
gonna
love it.
I'm gonna assume. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's do that. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And Todd says, feels like it's been a while, been forever since we've seen you. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know, 8 minutes ago when
Barely,
the two
barely,
regular
right?
guys got done. All right. Marianne, good morning. Frank, good afternoon. And
Yeah.
Lisa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lisa.
Jeff, hello. And Lori,
Yeah.
hello. Thank you guys for being here.
Yes, thank you for all being here. I mean, so many awesome people in here who are doing their own awesome stuff. That's one of the things I love is that we've got Lisa who does her after hours, got Christine who's now doing stuff for Applicate Getaway, but always been making great content. Jeff from the Embroidery Nerd, got everybody doing this, doing their thing, and really to be in a community of people like that, it's awesome. So couldn't
Yeah.
be happier to have you guys here. It's awesome.
Yeah. Lisa asks, what are we chatting about today? That's up to you
Lots
guys,
of
Lisa.
stuff.
Yeah, we can chat about whatever you want. That's the whole point of the half is it's pretty much just a wide open Q&A. There's no outline. There's no topic in advance. It's a great time to just get an opportunity to interact with everybody and answer questions. Plus it's selfish on my part. It's a chance for me to just get to hang out with my friend Eric. So that's
Agreed. I just like to hang out there. Though I do actually have a couple things to talk about today. I mean,
shoot.
we,
All
we
right, let's
got
do it.
into is it because we don't have a question yet? If you guys have a question, derail this thing, please.
Yeah.
But we were talking a little bit about stock issues this morning at the lead of the two other guys. So it was got pretty hot there. We talked about stock. We talked about things not getting. We talked about production. And actually, I had another news piece that kind of related, not exactly.
Okay.
I'm a podcast guy. I listen to podcast news quite a bit, and I actually listen to Bloomberg Financial. You wouldn't think so because I'm not like
Cool.
the kind of person who. I'm like, believe me, I'm not invested well. I have like one mutual fund, and that's it. Like I don't do a lot of that stuff, but I still listen to the financial market stuff. And actually, I'm going to throw a link into the comments today. The CEO of Kornit was on. If you
Okay.
don't know Kornit, that's one of the kind of the high-end digital
Yeah.
printers for
Yeah.
DTG. I'm throwing that link out there if you guys want to listen to it. Um, I'm gonna say it's a little self-serving. The Bloomberg guys were like, "Oh, these guys do textile printing. What are they going to talk about?" And of course, what does the CEO of Core need to talk about? And hey, no blame on him, but he's like, "We absolutely need to start doing more production." Uh, in the places where people are getting things done and less conventional printing and more digital, which is like, of course, the guy who makes the digital printers is going to tell you that. But the truth of the matter was, there was something interesting about it because he's talking about the accessibility of things. Amazon's ruined us to the point where we all want same day stuff or second day stuff. And he was talking about essentially just in time decoration, where we're going to decorate stuff close to where the people who consume it are going to have it, and we're not going to make more than we need to. He was also spinning it as an ecological thing. Though if you talk to I know Marshall Atkinson did a study about DTG versus screen print for a shop that he was running, where he managed to get government loans or government grants based on the fact of the ecological impact of digital being less per shirt. So there's a lot going on there, but I thought it was interesting, this nexus of stock is kind of hard to find. People are trying to get things quicker, and customization is individual, and we want things within 2 days. How does that all come together with digital printing, with other kinds of technologies, and with expectations? So it's kind of interesting. So I just thought, let's open that up too and see what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, that is really interesting, and I think that's digital for sure is a technology that's here to stay.
Sure.
I agree with all of those things that I don't know, they call it fast fashion, or like I said, not making more than you need. I think one of the skills that people should look into, if you're not you're kind of sitting there looking at what's going on in your world and saying, okay, what can I do to stand out from the crowd? If you can learn to sew, I think that will be huge in our space. There are not enough sewers out there. There's not enough quality sewers out there. If you can learn to sew, you'll be able to do some amazing things that I think just and people are willing to pay money for those kinds of personalized one-off products, but they're still a high-end bag or even just customized shirts. I still am excited to see the day when I'm no longer out there looking for the large or extra large or 2 extra large shirt. I'm out there purchasing specifically an Aaron size shirt, the one that fits and feels the best for me, instead of having to try on a whole bunch of different extra large shirts to get there. So
well, speaking of Amazon, Amazon's already been piloting that, by the way, very recently, the concept of measuring technology and having your own piece made for you. But what I'll say is, for us in the kind of real world getting stuff done, I've seen people doing patch pocket additions. So super simple stuff that can be repeatable. Some people using embroidery machines to do it, very much like an in the hoop project would be for home embroidery. So I've seen like patch pockets, stitching on woven tags as a decoration, woven tags and woven patches as a decoration option. Super awesome. Cool. If you guys were in my patch class, we talked about how patch attachment can also be part of your kind of product mix, the service of attaching patches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would actually think, so it's like really simple straight stitch machine stuff that is possible to learn. And the other thing is, consistently, we're seeing more and more people moving to post-bed machines and manual attachment for patches on hats, because it is just the gold standard for getting a patch straight on a hat is to do it manually. So, and it allows you to do things like PVC patches and then leather patches.
There you go.
To the point where I've seen this now, like there are embroidery machine manufacturers who are bringing in post-bed machine lines into their machine mix that they're selling. Nice. Because it's become so, so prevalent.
Lately. For sure. Huh. Interesting. No, I think all that's really interesting. I think, seeing where all this heads, there's all sorts of talk about print on demand and other things like that. So again, where is it that you fit into that space? I think becomes the ultimate question. What can you do to be different? And I don't think it has to be, like you said, crazy out there. It can be, like you said, super simple, adding that, which said patch pocket. Was that what you called it?
Yeah, patch pockets. I've seen a lot of these just, it's a, flat, like a pocket tee, but they're pre-printing the pockets. and then stitching them on.
Yeah.
And so they do these custom all over printed pockets. And it's something you wouldn't think would be that much of a draw, but it has been for
Yeah.
the company I'm talking about. That now actually we got some good comments in here that I want to bring up
Okay.
too while we're talking about it.
Yeah, let me hit one before you go
Yeah,
there,
for
Eric,
sure,
though.
for sure.
So just kind of get back, make sure we're covering. One of our goals here in the half is to make sure
For
we
sure.
try to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So Lisa says I usually come in late, so I'm assuming I'm late as usual. It's only
You're
30
never
minutes,
late.
Lisa. You just get here, you know. So
You're never really
Todd
late to that.
and Todd, we will come back to your question here in just 1 second. I think it's a good
Sure.
question. Go ahead, Eric. Where'd you want to jump from there?
Well, we have a couple of good ones here. And Ramona, I'll give you this. I'm connected with a seamstress who makes custom outfits for her market, and I digitize embroidery elements for her. She gets 1,000 for her work. Yep, absolutely. My mom, for part of her work, was a seamstress, and
Nice.
I will say people don't value home sewers as much as they should, or sewists, depending on how you like that word.
Yeah.
But I think that certainly one thing that differentiated the shop that I came from most recently was that we had people available to like sew on letter jacket patches. With something else I saw here, Jerry says that finding someone to sew Letterman jacket letters and numbers on award jackets is difficult. But yeah, once you have that person, boy, hold on to them, because that was a big deal for us. Custom attachment. Then we were talking about stock shortages today. I'll be honest with you guys and say if you have a stock shortage and people are willing to bring their own garments, one of the lower risk ways you can handle those is stitching a patch on them.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, we absolutely can't get your garments in time for the thing. We can make patches and we can stitch them on. That's something that we've done. I have done previously in non-pandemic shortages, but that's certainly there. And I'll agree with Jeff on this one. Main issue of sewing is the amount of time it takes. Yeah, custom cut and sew, that's time consuming. You have to have people who are very skilled for like full custom garments, but small amounts of customization or alteration make a big difference. Even just the point of being able to open up a jacket to stitch between the panels and then stitch it back closed if it doesn't have an express embroidery pocket, because sometimes they'll have embroidery. Like Port Authority had the port pocket. I remember them talking about that, where you zip open a panel to embroider so you can't see the stuff through the lining. But a custom jacket that doesn't have that, being able to take your lining out, stitch your design on it, and then stitch the lining back in for a clean finish makes a big difference to the look. So lots of little reasons. Now, I mean, that's a different thing what we were talking about, but yeah, for sure.
But I mean, even think about from the perspective of sublimators out there.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a can cooler, I did not say koozie. Shh, didn't say koozie. Get in trouble for saying koozie.
Copyright police.
Can cooler. If you're sublimating can coolers.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have the capability of sewing, you have to buy them sewn together, and then you press them, and you've got these little thin wafer thin, and you've got the funny line at the bottom of them. You can buy them die cut and press them flat, and then sew the edges. It's super easy to just sew the edges with just a regular home sewing machine. And you know, just that little shift right there makes that can cooler something that the value of it goes up without any additional cost. I mean, you've got a little bit of that labor to sew it, but at the end of the day, it's probably still easier than trying to crush a because I can press those flat pieces without a whole lot of pressure. I can get a couple of them on there at the time and just bang them out, and then you sew them all together, snip the stitches, and away you go. And you know, that's a can cooler I can sell for a lot more. I can put something at the bottom of it so it's got this nice clean look. You can put a logo at the bottom or something like that. I mean, just little things like that, where just adding that separate piece, that personalization, that customization that you talked about, I think is huge. So
you know what, by the way, for people who are worried about, you know, can I charge for that time studies, like Aaron said earlier today on Two Early Guys, time study, find out how much time it's taking you. I think you're getting a superior product. And if you show someone an example of the pre-made one that you've smashed flat versus one that's stitched, I think that they'll see the difference in the product. Sometimes there's some customer education has to happen, but yeah, I think absolutely. Little home sewing machine, especially for that. I was actually thinking that very same thing. That's one of those simple 2 straight seam products that, but still makes a tremendous amount of difference.
Yeah. All right. Audrey says, ever heard the quote, "This is what I do. This is not my life." Says pertains to a job I have to do to make money for the job I want to do in the future. So
I mean, I'll say this. I'm pretty committed to my work. It is
Yeah.
my life. I'll be honest and say it is my life. My hobby is my job by and large. But
Hmm.
there is a point where I'm like, hey, family, something that is yours is also important. And also, it's not going to be for everybody. Those of us who then educate and work and do everything around in a constellation around our jobs, probably are a little built a little different than some folks who are just doing the job for the day, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, and taking time for yourself is important. But certainly, there's got to be a hierarchy of things. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's family time, it's family time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important.
Well, I just talked about this over on Two Regular Guys, Eric, is this concept of we have to know what our goals are, right?
Yeah,
What our future visions are, what we're shooting for. Because yeah, if you've got to take a job to get from point A to point B,
that's fine too. Yeah.
then do that, right? And you got to make the money to get there is what Audrey's kind of
Mhm.
talking about. And
Sure.
and all of that stuff. But you're making that choice, right? You're controlling your own destiny. You're controlling your outcomes by the responses that you make. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm right there with you, Eric. I'm super passionate about what I do. It is my who I am, right?
Mhm.
It's part of, but this is not what I've done my whole life. I've had other jobs. I've done other things. I've worked for other people,
Yep.
and I loved doing all of that. But at the end of the day, I finally got to the point where I realized I need to share myself with other people as part of what my
Yeah.
business is, and so that's where our success group came from. But I don't look back at all the time that I spent with, Coastal Business Supplies, U.S. Screen Printing Institute, other Pick the Gift, other places, and go, oh, it was just a waste of time. No, it was a huge learning experience. I made
Yeah.
money to pay for my things that I needed for my family and my life and
Yeah.
all that other stuff. So I think that's a good quote, Audrey.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and I would say certainly as long as you put yourself, your whole person, if you put your best foot forward and put yourself into what you do, anything you do along the way is good. I mean, as long as you're bringing you to that package
yeah,
always, then
yeah,
then I mean, it'll shine through and it'll become, and honestly, it becomes learning experiences. Everything can be used for that kind of fodder. I mean, people talk to me about where they came from. We always make the joke that we slide in sideways to decoration on
yeah,
fire.
yeah,
Like everybody knows I've got completely different education than what I'm
yeah,
doing, but I'm going to say my kind of liberal education, and I mean that in the kind of liberal arts way, that I took in a lot of different things, and the fact that I learned to write and communicate is part of what made me different in my space. So everything you bring to the party and all the things you go through are part of what make you who you are and give you unique solutions to problems.
yeah, for sure,
So
for
bring
sure.
all that in, bring it
All
all in.
right. Well, we're going to bounce all over the place,
Yes.
Eric, because I'm here back here today, and that's what I do. I chase the squirrels. So, Todd says earlier, he says, anyone doing Hulu ads? He says, I just got an email about it. I'm going to text it, email it, and post office it to Aaron. So
Haven't yet.
I don't do Hulu ads. I have not heard a whole lot about it. I have seen little things here and there. And then B, Todd, I will actually wait to respond to this until I get the post office notification, or until I get the post office thing. So therefore, I actually don't have to answer this question because it will never show up.
Right? Yeah, no, I haven't done Hulu ads. I think for me, it would always be about where are they placing these ads and who am I looking for? I mean, Garment Deck, yeah, local. You will be probably getting into a local pool of advertising. I'd have to see what it was, but if you're talking about being able to target a local pool with a video ad, then yeah, why not? I can see trying it. I'd like to
Yeah,
see what the numbers are, but I'll say this, as much as I don't want to consider advertising or marketing gambling, I kind of treat it the way I treat gambling. If I'm going to gamble, I go ahead and say, this is the amount of money I'm never going to see again and never get any use of.
yeah, yeah,
If that's okay with me, I'm allowed to try anything and see what happens.
sure,
And so the same thing with advertising, when there's a brand new space and nobody's given me conclusive enough numbers, or it doesn't really make sense for my segment, but I want to try it, I go, all right, here's the amount of money this month I can absolutely say goodbye to, and I don't care at all if it comes back, or at least I'm
yeah,
not going to die. And then I'll go ahead and do my initial test. Certainly look at what everybody else has said, but yeah, I
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
worth a shot.
Interesting.
Lots of people are streaming right now. I don't know. I'm wondering what's going to happen as we all start getting back outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I really am. I'm wondering what's going to happen to everybody doing all the lives and all the stuff. I think we're
Yeah.
going to see some of the people who've been doing this stuff pare
Yeah.
down too.
Yeah, and I know
Wait.
as we start to get busier, and I know I'll be out on the road and stuff more. There's
Yeah,
a already, yeah, we did the same thing.
yeah,
COVID, sitting around the house, ordered up too many streaming services. I've already kind of eyeing the ones that
yeah.
are going to get cut. Netflix is on the chopping block right now. So
Big time, big time. Yeah, we same thing around our house. I mean, we don't watch a ton of TV, but when we do, I'm a cord cutter. All I watch is streamed.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
yeah, no,
Same with
I'm
me.
I'm I'm looking at it really, really closely right
Yeah,
now as to
yeah,
what I need to keep.
yeah. All right. So Jeff says, where do we find that study? I could use some government grants.
I'm going to have to refer you to the man himself, Marshall Atkinson. So
Yeah,
AtkinsonT-shirt.com or Shirt Lab. Go find him there. He is the guy who did a lot of that. He did write about it in the magazines, but I will admit that it's been a minute since he
yeah,
wrote about it that I
yeah,
know of. Contact him directly. I'm sure he'll talk to you or
yeah.
lead you on there.
There you go. And Jeff says I could do for a dad bod shirt. Yeah, that's me, Jeff. That's what I'm looking for. You know, t-shirts are typically about a T, kind of a T like this. My shirt actually kind of needs to be more pear-shaped, right? A little more. I need it down here. I need it to expand out a little bit, and then be a little bit longer. So
I need a
that's what I'm
shirt
looking
that fits two dads, and then I'll get it. That's what I need.
All right.
I'm a big guy.
And okay, Lori says, this is what I do. First time I've heard you guys talking about it. We upcycle thrifted clothes with sewing. Oh, that is so cool.
It is
Lori,
cool.
we need to, I know we've kind of just gotten to know you a little bit here through the stuff that Eric's been doing. So yeah, tell us where to find this stuff. Update your profile. I want to see some pictures on social media and stuff like that. So
another cool thing I talked about on the show that's interesting is visible mending with embroidery, and I love that concept too. The idea of mending clothing in a visible, patched way that's interesting and visually pleasing. I thought that was cool. So yeah, I'm about it. Upcycling's cool.
Yeah. Bill says he's late. Can we start over? Yeah. So here's the trick, Bill. You just go back and take the little scroll bar and you move it back, and then it starts over. It's pretty cool. So yes, we just started over. If you're starting back at the beginning, now you're to the point where you were at, Bill. Okay. All right, good. Todd says the other great thing about sewing your own can coolers is that you can use the same size for both regular cans and skinny cans. That's true. Good point.
Nice.
Just gotta sew them a little tighter. There you go. Let's see here. Christine says, I'm still not entirely sure how I'm considered a part of the garment decorating industry, but I made my way here, so you're stuck with me now. So
that is how that happens, by the way.
Exactly. Hey, Gusta, thanks for checking in. One of the most difficult things creating content is to consistently show up. 100%.
Yes, like if there is a can I get an amen moment today, that is it.
Yeah, for sure. Christine says, way back in the day, I worked for a traffic department at a television station, placing ads in the daily schedule. I would be interested to see how the online television model compares with the model we used back in the day. Oh, that would be interesting. There you go. Guys, I did a show about body image on Wednesday. Maybe you might want to check it out. Yep. Part of what I talked about was how we talk about our bodies and our appearance. All right. I will go and check that out.
Yeah, quite possible.
Assuming I just made a mistake, but right now that's and I'm okay with that. I'm a dad, and my wife still loves me.
Not, yeah, I will admit to my cycles of dieting. I am on a restrictive diet right now, trying to get back in I would say show shape, but I don't think I get into shape in the first place. But hey, I'm there.
There you go. Well, I'm heading to Mexico next week for our honeymoon. So I don't have my swimsuit body, but I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm getting there. I'm working on it. So thank you, Christine. I will definitely go check that out.
For sure.
Todd says Lori sounds like a great guest and topic for two regular guys.
She does.
Lori, we're going to put you on the spot here you won't be required, but we would love to have you share more about what you do. I think that is a really cool thing, and I'd love to learn more. There you go. Look at you.
If you want to be a guest, go over to calendly.com/2regularguys, and I think you would make a good fit. So yeah, anybody who thinks that if you know a guest you want to see on Two Regular Guys, the other show we do, or you want to be a guest yourself, that's how you sign up. So
yeah, exactly. All right. I'm going to let you start this one
Yeah.
because you probably can say the
Yeah,
name better than I will.
Sashiko.
Okay.
Sashiko stitching from Brilliance is excellent for visible mending. Yeah, Sashiko stitching is, and it was traditionally for mending. If you guys don't know, it's a Japanese hand embroidery type that was used. And I may be incorrect on all the details because I don't know it deeply, but they would have these indigo jackets, very much like a denim jacket, these indigo dye jackets, and they would layer them and then sew the layers together with Sashiko. And you'd actually layer them until they were thicker and more useful. But it's a decorative stitching that's like white cotton stitching on these indigo garments, and it's really beautiful. And Brian made this stitch that looks very much like that very visible thick Sashiko stitching
Cool.
as a stitch type. So yeah, really cool stuff. You should look it up if you're an embroiderer or a mender or a sewist who doesn't know this stuff. Look up Sashiko. It's really cool, really pretty. I've done some patterns myself with it. So yeah, real cool stuff.
There you go.
Real cool
there
stuff.
you go. All right. Lisa says, sounds like a future, Lori sounds like a future
Yep.
Two Other Guys show for sure. Getting back to our body image, Todd's company is called Fat Dad Custom Design. So he just put it out there and he doesn't have to worry about it. There you go. I did make him do the OSG challenge with us though. And so that's why I watched Tiger King. That's a whole different story. Lori says, my partner would, but I'm camera shy. Here's the deal, Lori. You don't need to be camera shy. It's just friends hanging out, having a good time. And the best part about it is I can tell just by the way you shared this with us originally that it's something that you're passionate about. So when you're passionate about something, the camera just melts away. So
what I'll say is we would also just, if you want to share links or share pictures, that we could also do that too. You know,
Eric, shush.
I know. I want the guest. I want Lori to come on, but I'm just saying.
Lori, your partner would be fine too, but we'd love to have you as well. So thank you for sharing, and that sounds really super cool. And Christine is going to recruit you for the Women and Business podcast. Excuse me.
That's a very supportive crowd of people who would, if you were a little shy on your first go, they're awesome. So there's been some people there who have been shy and had great reactions there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
sure. My wife really loves doing Women in Business. She said she had a blast, and honestly, it was really cool to watch because my wife is not super excited about being on camera. She does it because she knows that it's important to connect with people in this way, but she's not super excited about it. But the time that she got to spend with Christine, that was the most vibrant I've seen her in that space. So it really is good. So Todd has a way that we can trick Lori.
That's true.
Apparently we're not tricking her anymore since we're telling her, but
recording the podcast version, but only can get the audio from a camera feed. We don't do that, Todd. We're nice.
Well, we've just given away our secret, so I guess that's why we don't do that anymore. Jeff says, "Yep, if you get a hole, they would add another layer."
So. Exactly. As the garments would wear, they would get thicker and thicker, and they'd add layers. So yeah, Sashiko is really cool. Like I said, look it up. It's really interesting. Traditional Japanese kind of stitch work, but it's constructive and decorative. I love that.
There you go. I love it. Yeah. All right. Christine says, I've had camera shy people on as guests, and it's a lot of fun. And Kylie was a great guest. And thank you. You're very welcome for the kind words, Christine. No problem.
Show deserves it.
Todd makes a good point, Eric. It's called two regular guys, not two nice guys.
On this show, we're nice.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. The half is nice.
We're adapting the tagline to be the half. Also, two nice guys.
While I'm producing, no secret camera feeds. That's not happening.
This is why I hang out with people like Eric. He brings nice back to my world.
You gotta have the nice, man. The nice is how we get things done.
Yeah. All right. So what else do we want to cover here, Eric? You've did we cover everything on the podcast, the digital side of things? Is that
I think the thing to think about it is at least just to think about what it means to produce on demand. I think that everybody tries to put it only into the DTG space, but sublimation is totally production on demand. Heat press with vinyl cutting, as long as you've got your materials on hand, totally on demand. And everybody with a single head embroidery machine, we've been producing on demand forever. Like that is not weird. And I know I've been beating the patch drum, but I've been living in patch land so long lately that it's in my head. being able to do self-made patches or thread-based patches on the fly is production on demand. So I don't. Whenever we hear stuff from the CEO of Kornit, and no problem with that, his piece was still good. That's why I sent the link out there, because it does at least bring these things up. But it's not alien. The concept of production on demand has been with us this entire time, and we all do things just in time. We just have to realize that maybe our stock is the next issue that we're going to have to face, and that's where your points are interesting.
Yeah.
Cut and sew and doing things on demand there. Oh well, finished in time.